Imagine a place where the collective wisdom of the ancient world was meticulously gathered, a single repository housing the greatest minds, the most profound discoveries, and the most captivating stories known to humanity. A place where scholars from every corner of the known world converged, their minds alight with the pursuit of knowledge, their debates echoing through hallowed halls filled with hundreds of thousands of scrolls. This was the great library of Alexandria, not merely a building, but a vibrant intellectual hub, a beacon of learning that shone brightest in the ancient world. Its very name conjures images of unparalleled intellectual ambition, a testament to humanity's insatiable thirst for understanding. But what if this beacon, this unparalleled repository of human achievement, was extinguished? What if its vast collection, its irreplaceable insights, its very essence, was lost to the sands of time? What knowledge, what discoveries, what pathways to progress did humanity forget, simply because they were once held within those fabled walls? The story of the Library of Alexandria is not just a tale of a magnificent institution. It is a profound meditation on the fragility of knowledge, the devastating consequences of its loss, and the enduring impact of what might have been. For centuries, the Library of Alexandria stood as the intellectual capital of the world, a place where the boundaries of human understanding were pushed further than ever before. Its decline and eventual destruction represent one of the greatest intellectual tragedies in history, a wound in the fabric of human progress whose true depth we can only begin to fathom. Today, we embark on a journey to explore the rise and glory of this legendary institution, delve into the various theories surrounding its demise, and, most importantly, ponder the immeasurable cost of the knowledge that humanity forgot. Prepare to confront a past that could have been our present, and a future that was irrevocably altered by the fate of a single magnificent library. To understand the profound loss of the Library of Alexandria, we must first appreciate its extraordinary rise and unparalleled glory. Its story begins in the wake of Alexander the Great's conquests. Upon his death in 323 BCE, his vast empire was divided among his generals, the Diadochi. Egypt fell to Ptolemy Isoter, who established the Ptolemaic dynasty and founded the city of Alexandria. From its inception, Alexandria was envisioned as a new intellectual and cultural capital, a rival to Athens, and a symbol of Hellenistic power and learning. It was within this ambitious context that the idea for the Great Library was born. While the exact date of its founding is debated, it is widely believed that Ptolemy Isoter laid the groundwork, and his son, Ptolemy II Philadelphus, reigned 285 to 246 BCE, brought the vision to fruition. The library was not a standalone building in the modern sense, but an integral part of a larger research institution known as the Mouseion or Museum, dedicated to the Muses, the Greek goddesses of the arts and sciences. This was a revolutionary concept, a state-sponsored academy where scholars, poets, scientists, and philosophers were invited to live, study, and conduct research, all supported by royal patronage. They were provided with lodging, salaries, and, most importantly, access to an unparalleled collection of texts. The Ptolemaic kings were driven by an insatiable desire to collect all the knowledge of the world. Their policies for acquiring texts were aggressive and well-funded. They sent agents across the Mediterranean and beyond, buying scrolls from every available source. Ships docking in Alexandria were reportedly searched, and any scrolls found were confiscated, copied, and then the copies returned to their owners, while the originals were kept for the library. This systematic approach, combined with the prolific output of scribes who meticulously copied and translated texts, allowed the library's collection to swell to an astonishing size. Estimates vary widely, but at its height, the library is believed to have housed anywhere from 40,000 to 400,000 papyrus scrolls, perhaps equivalent to roughly 100,000 modern books. This made it by far the largest collection of written works in the ancient world, a true universal library. This vast repository of knowledge attracted the brightest minds of the Hellenistic world, transforming Alexandria into the undisputed intellectual capital of its age. Scholars like Euclid, whose elements laid the foundation for geometry, conducted their work within its walls. Eratosthenes of Cyrene, using the library's resources, famously calculated the circumference of the Earth with remarkable accuracy, an astonishing feat for his time. Archimedes, though primarily associated with Syracuse, had strong ties to Alexandrian scholars, and his groundbreaking work in mechanics and mathematics was certainly part of the library's collection. Hero of Alexandria invented the first recorded steam engine, a device that hinted at an industrial revolution millennia before its time. Hipparchus made monumental contributions to astronomy, developing the first comprehensive star catalog and pioneering trigonometry. Galen, the renowned physician, studied and likely contributed to the medical knowledge housed there. The library was a crucible of innovation, where diverse fields of study intersected, leading to breakthroughs in mathematics, astronomy, medicine, literature, engineering, and philosophy. It was a place where knowledge was not just stored, but actively created, debated, and expanded. Beyond the main library, a daughter library was established in the Serapeum, a temple dedicated to the Greco-Egyptian god Serapis. This served as an overflow for the main collection and a public library, further solidifying Alexandria's reputation as the global center of learning. The sheer scale of intellectual activity, the systematic collection of texts, and the groundbreaking discoveries made within its walls cemented the Library of Alexandria's status as the undisputed beacon of knowledge in the ancient world. It was a place where the human intellect was celebrated, nurtured, and pushed to its absolute limits, creating a legacy that would inspire future generations, even in its absence. The popular narrative of the Library of Alexandria often paints a dramatic picture of a single catastrophic fire, a moment when all the world's knowledge went up in smoke. However, the truth is far more complex and, perhaps, even more tragic. The decline and eventual disappearance of the Great Library was not a singular event, but a slow burn, a gradual process spanning centuries, marked by a confluence of political upheaval, intellectual neglect, and, at times, deliberate destruction. It's a story with multiple culprits, each contributing to the erosion of this unparalleled intellectual treasure. The first cracks in the library's foundation appeared long before any major fire. The initial decline can be traced to internal political instability within the Ptolemaic dynasty itself. In 145 BCE, Ptolemy VIII Physcon, a notoriously cruel and tyrannical ruler, purged intellectuals from Alexandria. Many scholars, including Aristarchus of Samothrace, the head librarian, were forced into exile, fleeing to other cities where they continued their work. This intellectual diaspora, while spreading Alexandrian scholarship, also drained the library of its vibrant intellectual life and expertise. It marked a shift from a period of enthusiastic royal patronage to one where the pursuit of knowledge was increasingly seen as a political liability. The most commonly cited event in the library's destruction is the fire attributed to Julius Caesar in 48 BCE. During his civil war, Caesar found himself besieged in Alexandria. To prevent his ships from falling into enemy hands, he ordered them to be set ablaze. The fire reportedly spread to the docks and, according to some ancient accounts, engulfed part of the library or its adjacent warehouses. While this event undoubtedly caused some damage, the extent of the destruction is highly debated among historians. Many scholars argue that the main library building, located further inland, was likely spared, or that only a portion of its collection, perhaps scrolls stored in port warehouses, was lost. Evidence suggests that scholarly activity continued in Alexandria for centuries after Caesar's fire, implying that the library, or at least a significant part of its resources, survived or was quickly rebuilt. The geographer Strabo, writing around 20 BCE, mentions visiting the Mouseion, indicating its continued existence. The Roman period saw a further dwindling of the library's influence, not necessarily through direct destruction, but through a lack of funding and imperial support. The passionate royal patronage of the Ptolemies waned, and while Alexandria remained an important intellectual center, the library itself ceased to be the vibrant, actively growing institution it once was. Its membership and scholarly output gradually declined. The true blow during the Roman era likely came between 270 and 275 AD, during the Palmyrene invasion and the subsequent imperial counterattack by Emperor Aurelian. Alexandria was heavily besieged and sacked, and it is highly probable that any remaining parts of the library or the Mouseion were destroyed during this period of intense urban warfare. By this point, the main library was likely already a shadow of its former self, its collection dispersed or neglected. Then came the Christian era, and with it a new wave of religious fervor. In 391 AD, under a decree issued by Bishop Theophilus of Alexandria, the Serapeum, the daughter library, was vandalized and demolished by Christian mobs. This act was driven by a zealous campaign against paganism and its symbols. While the Serapeum housed a significant collection, it is generally believed that the main library had already ceased to exist by this time. The destruction of the Serapeum, however, cemented the narrative of Christian culpability in the loss of Alexandrian knowledge, becoming a powerful symbol of religious intolerance triumphing over intellectual pursuit. Finally, the popular legend attributes the ultimate destruction to the Arab conquest of Egypt in 642 AD, with Caliph Omar famously ordering the burning of the books, stating that if they agreed with the Quran, they were superfluous, and if they disagreed, they were heretical. However, most modern historians dismiss this account as a later fabrication, likely originating centuries after the event. By the time of the Arab conquest, the Library of Alexandria, as the grand institution it once was, had almost certainly vanished, its collections either destroyed, dispersed, or simply lost to neglect over the preceding centuries. The truth, therefore, is not a single dramatic fire, but a complex, multi-layered tragedy. A slow burn of political instability, intellectual neglect, accidental fires, and targeted destruction, each contributing to the gradual erosion of humanity's greatest ancient archive. The library didn't die in a single blaze. It faded piece by agonizing piece over centuries. The physical destruction of the Library of Alexandria, whether sudden or gradual, pales in comparison to the intellectual void it left behind. The true tragedy lies not just in the loss of buildings and papyrus, but in the immeasurable amount of knowledge, insight, and human ingenuity that vanished with it. Imagine a vast ocean of accumulated wisdom, painstakingly collected and curated over centuries, suddenly evaporating. That is the scale of the loss we are contemplating. The sheer volume of texts lost is staggering. Many of the scrolls housed in Alexandria were unique copies, the only existing records of ancient thought, history, and scientific discovery. When these were destroyed, they were gone forever. We mourn the lost plays of the great Greek tragedians like Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides, many of whose works are known only by title or fragmented quotes. How might our understanding of classical literature, philosophy, and human nature be different if we had access to their complete oeuvre? The same applies to the lost historical accounts, detailed narratives of ancient civilizations, their politics, societies, and daily lives, which would have provided invaluable insights into the human past. Imagine the rich tapestry of early Roman history, or the intricate details of Egyptian and Mesopotamian civilizations, now forever obscured by the mists of time. Beyond literature and history, the loss of scientific and philosophical texts is perhaps the most profound. We know that Alexandrian scholars were at the forefront of scientific inquiry. Eratosthenes calculated the Earth's circumference. Aristarchus proposed a heliocentric model of the universe centuries before Copernicus, and Hero of Alexandria described a working steam engine. What other breakthroughs were on the cusp of discovery? What advanced mechanical principles, astronomical observations, or medical theories were contained within those lost scrolls? It is highly probable that humanity lost centuries of scientific and technological advancement. The knowledge of advanced optics, sophisticated hydraulic systems, and complex mathematical theories may have been far more developed than we currently understand, only to be rediscovered much later, often through painstaking and circuitous routes. Consider the lost philosophical texts, the nuanced arguments of pre-Socratic thinkers, the complete works of Stoic and Epicurean philosophers. How might the trajectory of Western thought have been different if these intellectual currents had flowed uninterrupted? The loss wasn't just about individual texts. It was about the intellectual ecosystem, the continuity of inquiry, the methodologies, and the very spirit of open, collaborative scholarship that defined the library. The destruction of this intellectual capital created a chasm in human knowledge, forcing subsequent generations to relearn, rediscover, and reinvent concepts that had already been understood. Did this loss set back scientific and technological advancement by centuries? It's a question that haunts historians. The period following the library's decline, often referred to as the Dark Ages in Europe, saw a significant regression in scientific inquiry and technological innovation. While other factors contributed to this, the absence of the vast Alexandrian repository undoubtedly played a role. The slow rediscovery of ancient texts, often through translations preserved by Islamic scholars in centers like Baghdad and Cordoba, eventually sparked the Renaissance and the scientific revolution. But imagine if that knowledge had been continuously available, building upon itself without interruption. The butterfly effect of this lost knowledge is immeasurable. Would we have reached the moon sooner? Would cures for diseases have been discovered centuries earlier? Would our understanding of the universe be fundamentally different? These are questions we can only speculate on, but the potential impact is staggering. The nature of this loss extends beyond mere texts. It was the loss of an intellectual ecosystem, a vibrant community of scholars who collaborated, debated, and pushed the boundaries of human understanding. It was the loss of methodologies, of the critical apparatus developed by Alexandrian librarians to analyze, categorize, and preserve knowledge. It was the loss of the continuity of inquiry, the unbroken chain of intellectual progress that allows each generation to build upon the achievements of the last. The library was a living, breathing entity, a dynamic center of research and innovation. Its destruction meant not just the burning of books, but the silencing of voices, the scattering of minds, and the severing of intellectual lineages. The knowledge was not just forgotten. It was actively erased, leaving a void that humanity would spend centuries trying to fill. The story of the Great Library of Alexandria is a powerful and poignant reminder of humanity's boundless intellectual ambition and the profound fragility of its achievements. It stands as a symbol of what is possible when knowledge is cherished, pursued, and openly shared, and conversely, what is lost when it is neglected, suppressed, or destroyed. We have journeyed from its glorious rise as the intellectual heart of the ancient world, a place where the greatest minds converged and groundbreaking discoveries were made, to its slow, agonizing decline and eventual disappearance, a tragedy born from a complex interplay of political strife, intellectual apathy, and destructive forces. While the exact circumstances of its demise remain shrouded in historical debate, the outcome is clear. An immeasurable amount of human knowledge was lost, setting back the clock of progress and leaving us to wonder about the alternative histories that might have unfolded. The lost plays, the forgotten scientific treatises, the philosophical insights that vanished, these represent not just missing pages in our history books, but missing chapters in humanity's collective story. The Library of Alexandria serves as a stark warning. Knowledge, once acquired, is not inherently permanent. It requires constant vigilance, dedicated preservation, and an unwavering commitment to intellectual freedom to ensure its survival. Yet, the legacy of the Library of Alexandria endures. Its very memory continues to inspire, reminding us of the immense value of learning and the critical importance of institutions dedicated to its pursuit. The modern Bibliotheca Alexandrina, built near the site of its ancient predecessor, stands as a testament to this enduring fascination, a symbol of renewed hope for a future where knowledge is once again universally accessible and celebrated. The story of Alexandria is a timeless lesson. The pursuit of knowledge is a continuous journey, and its preservation is a sacred duty. For in safeguarding the wisdom of the past, we illuminate the path to our future. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the lost knowledge of Alexandria. If you found this journey through the history of the Library of Alexandria as thought-provoking as we did, please consider liking this video, subscribing to our channel for more historical deep dives, and sharing it with fellow history enthusiasts. Your support helps us bring these vital stories to life. Until next time, keep exploring the past to understand our present.